Hello and welcome to the Sales Leaders series. I'm your host, Freddie, where I'll be gathering B2B SaaS sales leaders from across the world to answer 5 short, topical B2B SaaS sales questions. These questions are going to be the same each week, bar one, giving you insight and different perspectives into how top performers within the industry think, as well as actionable advice you guys can use in your own selling careers. Our guest this week is Jeremy Painkin. Jeremy has spent over 10 years in software and sales directing revenue-generating teams at companies like Gartner and Workboard. Currently, Jeremy spends his time overseeing revenue generation as the Vice President of Global Sales at Cascade, a strategy execution platform helping organizations create, develop, and execute strategic initiatives. Along with leading a team of over 40 salespeople, Jeremy acts as an envoy at Pavillion, a respected community of revenue and go-to-market leaders from across the world. Outside of software, Jeremy is also an executive board member at the Leukemia Lymphoma Society based in Texas. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Freddie, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I've been really excited to have this conversation with you, Jeremy. So the way this is going to work is I'll ask you 5 questions, kind of a freedom of conversation, and we'll just keep it really light and conversational.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Fantastic. So I guess we'll start after that introduction with you've been a sales consultant, a director, and a vice president, in sales throughout your tenure, and you've had experience in managing teams from obviously just yourself, to less than 10, and then to over 100 salespeople in your previous roles. What has been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome when transitioning from managing a team, say, of less than 10 all the way up to, say, 50 to 100 individuals? And how has that changed over that sort of journey?
Yeah, I think that, managing a team is managing a team. I think size does add some complexity to it. But, what I've learned over time is you have to figure out why the people are doing what they're doing. So sellers, for instance, why do they want to sell? What's important to them to sell? And how do we get them to where they want to go? And maybe that's something as simple as, hey, I want to buy a car. I want to buy a house. Maybe it's something more complex of I'm saving for retirement. I'm trying to pay off my student loans. Maybe there's some financial thing going on. But outside of the money piece of it, because everybody's so hard on money, like salespeople, money. And that's true. Like good salespeople aren't very money motivated. But the other side of that coin is, you got to figure out what's important to them. Maybe it's their kids are more important to them and it's time with their children. Maybe it's vacations for them and it's times making memories. You have to still at 100 people know that about your people. When I teach my leaders, I need to know that about my leaders. They need to know that about their people. And then when it's less people, you as the senior leader should know that about them as well. With more people though, you should be able to say, hey, Freddie, I know you were meeting with Susan. Hey, how's that going with them purchasing their house? Great. And then we can walk back that piece. I think that we forget sometimes that they're human beings. These are people and they're not just a robot. And we need to understand that. I think, and I've worked for great leaders who've showed me that. And I've worked for leaders that I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be like that guy or that girl, So I think part of it is just understanding the why behind the person is how I've really helped develop high performance teams.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess from the outside, it seems like that would be a very almost not easy, but something to kind of instill in your culture, especially when you're a smaller team. But when your team starts to expand to say, 10, 20, 30, 40, how do you make sure that you keep on top of that? You keep on top of those personal relationships you have with all of those individuals in your team.
Yeah, for me, I have meetings. I schedule connects, whether it's monthly or quarterly, depending on the team size. And it's not about the business. It's not a forecast call. It's not like we've all had that sneaky like, hey, Freddie, let's spend 15 minutes together and get to know each other. All right, Freddie, so I'm looking at your pipeline. Like we've all had those calls, right? I've been on those calls like early in my career. I probably led those calls. Those 15 minutes are yours. It usually goes about 30 minutes. I do book 15. And all we do is talk about you. And it's important for me, whether I'm a third, fourth, fifth, whatever line leader, that you still have access to have a conversation with me. When I see you at an SKO or I see you at something like that, I should be able to ask you questions about who you are. It does two things, right? Building a culture is about building people who want to follow you. A good leader, people follow. You're not going to follow somebody who knows nothing about you and doesn't care about you. So that level of empathy and kindness, Sam Jacobs in Pavillion, who I've gotten to really, know and respect, just wrote that book, about being kind. And so if you watch him and you watch his interactions, he's just a genuinely kind human being. He wants nothing in return from you. He just wants to put good things in the universe and get good things back. And I really try to take that approach in getting to know the people, but you have to know them. You have to know them as a person. You can't know them as employee 64753. Like, that guy missed his quota. Sales is high pressure enough. But if they feel like if your people only feel that you care about what they're doing, pipeline, close deals, whatever, it's hard to figure out why they're even doing what they're doing. And then when it comes to having a conversation as a person, you can't have one, because all I know about Freddie is Freddie's pipeline is 3x. Should be 4x, but it's 3x. Like, Freddie doesn't want to have that conversation. So I open my door to people constantly. And it's seen in the teams that I have, because they have my personal cell phone number. They can call me, they can text me. I've had people call me literally in the middle of the night and say, hey, my wife's in labor. Great, go, congratulations, let us know. We're rooting for you, but that's awesome. We've got you, you're okay, you're protected, you're taken care of, all the way to the calls of, hey, my mental health's not doing really good right now, and I don't know who else to talk to. Great, let's help find you that resource, because ultimately a high performing team needs somebody who's going to who's going to be there for them regardless of the outcome. So again, I open my door to people constantly. I spent this morning connecting with, one of my GTM partners and just saying, hey, how's your day? How's it going? Some days are good, some days are bad. Let's chat. And I think that's an important part of working with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answer. Speaking of teams and speaking of your teams now, what is the biggest challenge your team, in general, are facing at Cascade, especially in 2023? I know we're already in Q1. And how are you tackling it collectively?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of seeing the same things. At Cascade, we have a really exciting product. We're taking strategy out of the boardroom. Companies are moving digitally and faster. We're really a great market fit, and there's really incredible TAM, so we're really lucky in that regard. But I think we're all seeing the same things. Email deliverability is garbage. It's garbage. It takes a while to build a following on LinkedIn, right? You can't just be like, you know what? I'm going LinkedIn today, and tomorrow I'm going to have 10 leads, and they're all going to take my call. It takes time. And I remember, I used to call it going rogue. I used to show people's offices and basically cruise my way past the receptionist or past the gatekeepers, and I would knock on people's door and be like, hey, John, we have a meeting today. And they'd be like, who are you? Right. So we didn't have that meeting, but while I'm here, I figured we could take 10 minutes. I've been thrown out by security. I've had really high-level executives take my meeting, but I haven't walked in the parking lot a time or two. You can't do that anymore because you don't know where they are. So, I think I get emails all the time, right? Hey, I'll get you an Uber gift card. I'll buy you a book. I'll send you a hat. I got one the other day that was like, I'll buy you a Peloton, which I actually might read that one. That sounds cool. I think email deliverability is a big thing, but how do you build your brand? How do you build Freddie's brand? How do you build Jeremy's brand? And not always be like sales, 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 sales. So one of the things that I think that I've really worked with the team is, let's join the groups that our ICPs are in. What are they talking about? Don't be like, hey, got the answer, let me give it to you. Why don't we figure out what they're talking about and build a relationship? What we're seeing, and you're seeing it from lots of other organizations, relationship mapping is becoming so key, and having the relationship, right? Freddie, you and I have a relationship. So I needed something or want to talk about something or get on a podcast. Hey, I reach out to Freddie and we have a conversation. that takes time. So I think that with email deliverability right now being so low and cold calling, which I still think is not dead, I think it's actually really important, but connection rates are going down, especially in the like UK is a hard one too because of GDPR and so on and so forth. But I think building that brand and building that relationship online is the pathway forwards. And that's really what we're coaching our reps on. And look, it's uncomfortable, it's hard, and it takes time. It's not a switch you can flip in January and expect to get deals in February. And as a sales leader, that part can be frustrating as well. But that's really where we're going down, is building that relationship, building that community, through different things that we're doing. And I think that's really where we're seeing the greatest impacts.
Yeah, that leads us really nicely onto the next question as well, because I know that obviously you're heavily involved in Pavillion and with Sam Jacobs. And when I think of creating a community that is value-based on LinkedIn, one of the first people I think about is Sam Jacobs. And obviously you've recently been appointed as an Envoy at Pavillion, and you've recently gone through the CRO school as well. Leading on from that, what was one of the, I guess, specific learnings that surprised you in looking back in hindsight from going through that experience with Sam, and going through that experience?
Yeah, I think that, look, and I said this to Sam, so he'll find this funny. People have told me about Reveille Collective and all this stuff for years, and I was like, I don't have time for it. It's like I'm in enough groups, right? Like I got enough friends. But it's like going to the gym. I'm a big gym guy. I apologize for my camera, but it doesn't seem to want to make my bald head look clear. I'm a gym guy, so like I go to the gym a lot. And people like, I love January in the gym because you have everybody. It's like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get in shape. And come January, like third week of January, gym's empty again. It's amazing. Pavillion was the same thing for me. Like, people were like, you want to go to the gym? Come to the Pavillion. Come be around people. So as an Envoy, I've learned two things. One, when I have a problem, I have a squad, if you will, that I can reach out to. The Stephens of the world and the Leslies of the world, and the Joshes of the world and the Sams of the world and the Samuses of the world, and say, hey, what are you guys seeing here? Like, am I left field? Am I missing something? What is going on? And I don't do that. The other thing I love about Pavillion that has helped me outside of CRO school, we'll talk about that in a second, they do these salon dinners, which everybody's like, oh, a fancy dinner, but the conversations that come out of those dinners, because they're protected, everybody's in a safe place, and the community built and the lessons learned, invaluable. If I never go to another salon dinner ever again, I've been to 3 or 4, invaluable, more than covered what my membership was. And the learnings that I've been able to bring back to the organization have been invaluable. One of the things that I learned from Sam Jacobs specifically was in CR school was unit economics. Right? Everybody's like, you want to make more money? Hire more reps. You want to get a better engagement rate? Do these things. When what Sam has taught is, do you know what your LTV is? Do you know what your CAC is? Do you know what your ratios are? Do you know these things? Can you go to a board and have a conversation that says, I need more reps because my ratio is X, Y, and Z. Here's what my paybacks numbers are. Here's what these things are. Eye-opening. The way that Stephanie taught forecasting and how you forecast, and look, you want a 10% up or down. I don't ever want to go to the board and have to reforecast ever, or redo the books. Like, that's how guys like me get new jobs. But I've learned through Pavillion and I've learned through CRO school all these different things that somebody went before me and likely learned the hard way. Sam does not joke when he said, I've been fired 5 times. He's been fired 5 times. But the lessons he's learned, he's teaching people like me, so that hopefully I don't get fired 5 times. But the other thing I really love is we have, I run an Envoy group, as you mentioned, for Pavillion. The community even there is super cool. People get pushed out of jobs, things change, and we rally around each other, 100 plus people, all in kind of the Texas region. Hey, how can we help you? Freddie, what do you need? Let me review your resume. I can make an introduction for you. What do you need over here? Hey, someone's working over here. They're doing really good demand gen. Great. Let's set up a group and I'll talk about demand gen. Hey, what's going on with ABM? Let's talk about that. Great. Hey, what do you guys see as far as, reforecasting or changing your economics? Hey, let's have a meeting. That kind of stuff happens organically. And I think that, what I've learned through Pavillion is community is your biggest ally. And I always thought the higher you got in an organization, the more friends you had. And it can become one of the loneliest jobs because it's just you. There's nobody. You can't call your reps and be like, this sucks. And you can't call your managers and say, this sucks. And you're certainly not going to call your boss and tell them this sucks. So to have that group to be like, hey, I just need to vent. And you to tell me either I'm crazy or, hey, that's happened to me too. Let me tell you, I went through it. That's invaluable for Pavillion. I mean, if I could get a shirt, I probably shouldn't get a shirt that says Pavillion on it, but Pavillion has greatly increased my ability to do what I do in my career, and allow me to get better.
Yeah.
Very long-winded answer, Freddie. Sorry.
No, it was a perfect answer. The one thing that, I mean, obviously I haven't been involved with Pavillion directly, as obviously nowhere near as much as you have, but obviously, I have quite a lot of exposure to it being on LinkedIn, and obviously, the community, or at least members of the community, that interact with each other in that format. And I think just from the outside, it's clear to see that Sam's really created a community of trust, which I think is hard to do from the outset, especially when, I mean, we're all in sales, right? I think the first thing that people come to think about when they talk about communities is, this could be, an opportunity for us to sell here, which is totally the opposite of what you want that community to be. So, I'm very, very interesting. And I'd encourage anyone to reach out and get involved in that as well. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think that if you want to be a high performing seller, or you want to be a high performing leader, or you want to be just a person, you need a couple of things. You need people in your corner to tell you that, when it's good, and be there to back you up. And when you need a shoulder to cry on, they're there to be there for you. You also need a way to invest in yourself. And I think that we used to do a great job at that. We'd go to college and we do all these things. As we went to the real workforce, we've lost kind of the, that like you and I can't walk to the water cooler together, and like I can't learn from you as much, right? Because I don't get this. I mean, granted, we're across the big pond together, but I don't get to spend time with you. So I also think you need people that are like, you need to invest in yourself, whether it's Pavillion, whether it's whatever you're doing. You need to invest in yourself. If you want to go be a CRO, you should go to CRO school. If you want to be a CCO, you should go to CCO school. If you want to be a CMO, so on and so forth. Even if you never want to be those things, but you want to know how that person who you work with thinks to further let you get better at what you do at your job and better your craft, you should do those things. The third thing that I think you need is that person, and that may be part of your, that first one, but you need that person to be like, hey, this is a Lion King reference, but when Rafiki, the monkey hits Simba on the head, and Simba's like, what's that for? And Rafiki goes, who cares? It's in the past. You need that person to be like, hey, you just got punched in the face. You're going to have to get a new job. That sucks. Stop it. Get out of it. Let's go. It's time to go back to work. You need those three things to be kind of that successful. You probably need 30 more things too, but that's kind of how I look at my experiences through the time. Because I need that person to be like, you know what? You got laid off. This happened. Jobs quit. Company's gone out of business. That sucks. Cool. Go have a beer. Go do whatever you do. Go to the gym. Great. Now let's get to work. Like, you need those things in your life.
Yeah. Speaking of ups and downs in sales, I think everyone's had their fair share of ups and downs. Especially, I can imagine you have as well. You can be obviously as explicit and specific as you like on this question. What's been the toughest moment in your career, if you had to pin down one? And how have you dealt with it? Not necessarily for others to avoid those same pitfalls, but what advice would you give for others going through something similar? Now,
I think that, when I was in AE, I worked where you had to build accounts. You also had to, retain accounts and rewrite accounts. And, I felt like I was a cog in the wheel, and I felt like the accounts that I inherited, didn't necessarily have the best, outcomes slated for them. And so I think that I learned, from previous careers and previous experiences in my life, to switch my mindset to be like, I control. I'm the one that's going to make the destiny here. I don't care what happened before, but I definitely went through a period of time, probably a quarter or more, where I was like, this sucks. I am not going to make any money. These people sold garbage into this. I have to fix it. This is nonsense. I definitely went through that. But I think when I shifted my mindset, and people that have worked with me will, when they listen to this, they're going to laugh. When I shifted my mindset, I was able to not only turn those accounts around, I led the teams. I was number one on leaderboard. I did all those things. And, I talk about Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But I talk about Kobe Bryant, who's an American basketball player. And one of the things that he used to do is he would show up early and shoot around. And, guys like Steph Curry would show up and be like, why is Kobe already shooting? Right. And then, they would keep going. They'd have lunch, they'd get tape, they'd do trainer stuff. Every time Steph Curry came out, Kobe Bryant's on the floor shooting around. Tim Grover talks about in his book, Relentless. And then, Steph Curry, puts up 20 on that. I think Kobe has 30 in that game against the Warriors, whatever it is. And Steph asked Kobe, like, hey, what are you doing all day? He's like, well, you were too busy worrying about what I was doing, but you weren't worried about what you had to do. And so Kobe's mindset was, I'm going to get in your head and I'm going to be better than you at whatever it takes. Tim Grover calls them a cleaner. Get out of the book. It's a great book. That's my mindset. You won't kill me. You can't beat me. And there's closers, like I'm a closer. And there's a cleaner where like next level, whatever it takes, I'm going to get it done. I'll make it happen. That's who I am. But I definitely went through a period where I let my mind convince myself I wasn't good enough, convince myself I'm not going to make it, convince myself I'll never be a leader, convince myself whatever. But you got to take all that and you got to literally light it on fire and fuel your body or fuel your mind to get to the next level. And that's what I did. But I mean, I remember looking back, it against my career as a leader and as an individual contributor, if you can have a strong mind and be willing to kind of take the punches up here, you will be better every day at what you're doing, your personal life, your professional life. And look, it's not easy. Like, I'm not perfect at this. Like, please don't reach out and think I'm some kind of guru, because I'm not. But, I definitely believe that if you set your mindset correct and you channel the anxieties that you have and you channel the doubt, self-doubt that you might have, and you positive talk to yourself, you become that Mamba mentality, which is what Kobe Bryant called it, of just, you can't beat me, I'm the best. And that's how you go every day. I mean, I'm a kind of guy that's just kick doors down and get it done. And you got to do it a little bit gently. You should knock twice and open it. But, I definitely work through those processes. But I think the biggest thing for me was getting my mindset correct to be willing to win at all costs, ethically, obviously. But, I had to change the way I was thinking and not blame the past or the circumstances I couldn't control on myself.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I think that's something that every salesperson would have thought. And being able to have that mindset, even in those times of difficulty, I think is obviously easier said than done. But it's that James Clear thing, right? The 1% every single day, right? So super, super powerful. Last question, and I'll keep this quick, Jeremy. And we'll end on a high note. What in your current role at Cascade gives you the most energy as a sales leader, and how has this changed over time? So what really, I don't know, floats your boat.
What gets me excited is I love watching the team grow, develop, get better. I love watching the confidence, the swagger. Like, you're damn right I'm going to forecast that deal. I got that. So don't question me. Don't med pick me. I got this. That kind of confidence and that kind of ability, I think, is super exciting. And even the reps and the leaders that I've had that have been super confident, done it for a long time, we all go through kind of the doldrums, as we call it. And to watch them come out of that and be like, I got this. I got it. And to feel that confidence and that excitement, and to watch a rep close their first deal, I think is still super exciting to me. Like, I love getting a new employee to close a deal. And I love making that phone call of like, you did that. Nobody did that for you. You did that. I think that's some of the things that that I find super exciting still in the role that I'm in today. And I love just, look, count on your people, man. It's a tough market out there, but they're all doing the things the best they can. And everybody can get 1% better, myself included, every day. But it's still super exciting for me to watch the swagger, the confidence build, that mentality. That's the highlight of what I get to do today.
Amazing. Jeremy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak. If anyone listening wants some more information about Cascade, Jeremy, we'll have you links in the description wherever you're watching or listening this. Jeremy, before you go, is there anything you want to add? Any final parting words to anyone listening as a sales leader themselves or aspiring sales leader?
No, I think, hey, look, my LinkedIn is open. If you want, if I can give assistance to anybody, please reach out. I didn't get here by myself. And the other thing is, look, 1% better every day. Every day is not going to be a good day, but 1% better every day. And that's how we get to where we're going. And Freddie, I've really enjoyed this. It's been really a lot of fun.
Really appreciate it, Jeremy. Until next week. Cheers, guys.